Okay, it's currently like 9:30, so we're gonna say good evening. It's Sunday. We are starting another weekly vlog. It's a challenge week, right? I have never in my whole entire life used this app, Notion, right? I've never used it in my life. I don't really know a lot about it, but I am very curious, very curious. I've seen it floating around on the internet, but my one burning question whenever I read things or I see things about Notion, I'm like, how did you start? How long did it take you to set up your life on Notion? Because to me it looks quite complex. So essentially I have signed myself up to this challenge of getting myself onto Notion and trying to see if I can use it. Notion have very kindly sponsored this video, which is crazy because, you know, I've never used Notion, and I said to them, I was like, look, I've never used this thing. I'm gonna be brutally honest throughout the whole of this video as a challenge to you guys. If you want to join this Notion journey with me, there is a link in the description box. You can join Notion. It's 100% free for personal use, and we can see if we can become experts in Notion in like 1 week. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, which I hope you do, give it a thumbs up and we will jump straight into Monday. Okay, so my first goal with Notion was to first make an account, and then secondly just kind of explore Notion and get started essentially. So when you first sign into Notion and you make an account, you come to this page that basically gives you a brief summary of how to use it with loads of links to their YouTube videos. And so I just had to play around and basically followed that. And then I just basically started to customize my home page. So I added a cover photo, changed some of the emojis, and I firstly made this table to create like a big master to-do list. Everything is super flexible, so you can change anything that they suggest to you or set as the default. I set different levels of urgency and then played around with adding different tags, but at this point I really didn't know how to properly use tags and what I was really doing. Oh my gosh. Oh, I just pressed delete and like the whole thing went, and I was like, what? I just pressed Command Z and it came back. Oh my gosh, that was like, I'm kind of confused and I don't know what to do, but I kind of see what's going on. Kind of. Okay, so from my personal experience, I don't think you can jump straight onto Notion and fully understand how it all works and know what you can do with Notion. So yeah, it took me a bit of time. We made a bit of progress. I had a bit of fun playing around. I'm kind of seeing how things work. This is what we have so far. I'm trying to create like a main page. This photo is obviously from Australia. It's not even questionable. So I just have a master to-do list and then this daily schedule, which I normally follow. So cute, nothing much, but it's what I've done, okay? This master to-do list, which I've created, and then you can like open up from the main page. I basically had this like big to-do list on my notes on like my phone and my Mac, and it would just be sitting in my notes, and I thought I'd put that as like the first thing into my Notion. So these are the things I don't normally put on my weekly plan because they're just like big things that I can choose to do whenever, and I kind of tried to highlight how urgent they are. So yeah, that was my little Notion session of the day. We're gonna do a bit more later. I could like weekly plan in Notion, but personally I love weekly planning in my bullet journal, just writing things down. Like, I find it really therapeutic. I don't really want all aspects of my life to be digitalized and on a screen because sometimes I just don't want to look at a screen, and so like weekly planning for me is just something I will always do in my bullet journal. I'm really sorry Notion, but say hello. Your eyes are so green. Anyways, it's quite fun. I like the emojis. You can just add emojis everywhere and anywhere. Okay, so later that evening, I started to explore Notion again, and it can really get quite addictive. You can add lots of different pages, so that is what I started to do, just to see the different sections that I wanted to create, and then I added links to all of those from my homepage. So for example, I had this page where I could just write anything, just random thoughts or anything I just want to write down. One of my favorite pages I've created on Notion is the one dedicated to YouTube and content creation. So I made a database that would hold all of my video ideas, and this is really clever because I could organize them into those that I'd already completed, those that I was working on, and those I wanted to film. I then made a page entitled Learn, and this is where I would hold everything to do with my studies, so my masters, as well as everything I've kind of learnt through reading. So something I was really keen to try in Notion was note-taking, and this is what I'd planned to do in my weekly plan in my bullet journal. Again, as I said,
I would keep my weekly planning in my bullet journal because I just love doing it that way.
It is Tuesday evening and I am redoing my hair. Note-taking on Notion is kind of one of the key things that students use, especially anyways. So I am very keen to trial using Notion to make notes because I have like 2 mini lectures, one basically lecture split into 2 parts that I want to go through this evening. Oh, the shower is gonna start. Just ignore the shower noise. But yeah, I'm gonna trial using Notion anyway to make notes because they have quite cool features like this toggle feature. I'm basically looking at, if you are interested, targeting like the cell cycle because obviously the cell cycle is defective in cancer cells. So it's looking at therapies, kind of targeting that to try and make things right again in cancer cells essentially.
Yeah, so that is what the lectures were about, and I just split my screen so I could watch the lecture on the left and then take notes in Notion on the right hand side. I am really picky with the layout of my notes as I usually do this on Word, so I was just intrigued to see how I got on with Notion basically. So I made sure to try out the toggle feature and I used that to organise my subheadings. I pasted in screenshots and images and basically just tried out everything I would normally utilise when typing notes on my Mac.
Okay, so the summary, the verdict, how did we find note-taking in Notion? Oh, that is loud. These are my notes. Really like condensed because of this toggle button thing that you basically click on and then it opens up all the text underneath it. I structured it so I have the summary of the lecture in italics at the top, and then I just have the key sections of that lecture as the titles of the toggle things, and then all of the information is beneath those basically. I just don't know if I transfer all of my notes to Notion because I already have them organized and set up on my like Mac itself. It's actually in my iCloud drive. But anyways, the one thing I would say, it's a very small detail, and it's because, as I said, I'm really fussy with the way I make notes, like by hand and on the computer. I can't like stretch the writing so it spreads across the whole width. Okay, apparently what I'm referring to is called justify text, when you like align it. That is what I like to do. That's a really small thing, but it wasn't a thing you could do on Notion. What I do see Notion coming in useful for in terms of studying is like revision. So you like ask a question and then you put the answer hidden within the toggle, so it's like a flashcard kind of thing. But yeah, that is me for the day on Notion.
Okay, I know this is the next day, but I just finished off the second mini lecture that morning, again using Notion. I just think it is really smooth. You can do everything you want to except justifying the text, but it just saves automatically. You can paste in pictures and images, as I said, use the toggle button. It is really smooth and a really great note-taking tool if you want to use it. Now, my main goal with Notion on this day was to create something that I could use for revision. Basically, to keep track of my studies when I am preparing for exams. So I created these 2 big tables for my 2 modules.
Makes me quite excited to start revision. Not that I have any time to do that right now, but the intention is there.
So for each module, I basically listed in the first column the title of each lecture, and then in the 2 second columns, I used those to highlight how many times I'd revised or re-looked at that material. And then the other column was to note down how confident I was, and I used emojis to rank that. Now for day 4, I didn't plan this, but I had 2 huge revelations.
So I was getting really annoyed, right? Because let me show you why I was getting annoyed. It's Friday, by the way. This week is like going so fast. Anyways, Notion, hi. We're still trying to work out how to use Notion. So I've been looking at different like Notion layouts and setups and other people's Notion boards and whatever. And they're all like wider than mine. And I've been like, why is mine like so narrow? Everyone else's spreads across the whole page. And I finally realized there is like 1 button that you press. So I just realized that you click the 3 buttons at the top of the page and you click full width. Oh my gosh, yes, that is so much better. I think I can now add 3 columns. So if I go heading and I move this around, come on, it's gotta go. Yep, 3 columns. Look at that. Oh my gosh, 4 columns. Okay, we don't want you. Get rid of you. Okay, so what I was going to work on today is this page, my reading page, which I have not
done yet. I don't like this layout. Okay, I'm gonna try and do something with this. One of the things I was really loving about Notion was the fact that I could have so many things in one place. So before, I did set up a Goodreads account for my reading to try and track what I was reading, but there's no place to like make any notes. So I basically transferred everything to Notion. So I made different databases to list down the books that I wanted to read and those that I had already read. And I just seriously wish I had Notion when I started my book challenge, because I would have been able to make notes on all of the books and write summaries. But anyways, so later that evening, I had my second revelation, as well as learning how to spread the width of the page across the full screen. I also found out how to actually use and what linked databases are. So I watched Notion's YouTube video, and oh my goodness me, this is when I realized how powerful Notion can be. It's quite difficult to explain, so if you are trying to set it up, I do recommend just watching Notion's YouTube video, and then you can, oh my gosh, you can do so much with these databases. I firstly trialed using linked databases on my recipes page. So this has all of my recipes that I was currently, again, just storing on my notes. I could organize them, add specific tags, and then through organizing them into those that I had already tried and those that I hadn't, I could create a linked database that highlighted just the recipes that I needed to try or taste test. I created a page dedicated to my friends and people in my life, and also used linked databases here, as well as in my revision pages. So I basically could create a database that highlighted just the modules that I either had not revised yet, or those that I wasn't very confident on. And this is just making use of very simple filters. So you're just saying if the content hasn't been revised or I'm not confident on it, and then it will just show you only those topics. It's just, oh my gosh, I love it. It's so clever. So yeah, I did that for both my modules, and then you can extend this so you can create the database, the linked database, on a completely different page. The opportunities are endless.
Okay, hey guys, a little Friday update. Is it Friday? Is it Friday? No, it's Saturday. Saturday update. I'm just about to go on a run. But I wanted to just jump in here and say a few things, because yesterday I was up until gone midnight. It was like 12:30 and I was still on Notion. I worked out how to create like linked databases. I worked out what they were, and I also just realized how powerful they are. I was like, oh my gosh, like everything suddenly clicked, and I was like, wow. Let me just bring you over to my desk. It's very like basic coding, and it's so satisfying because you can like filter things, and then you have all of these databases and everything just like links, like your little hub and space with everything. And oh my gosh, I think it's really cool. Up until yesterday, this whole week pretty much, I've been kind of like on the fence with Notion. I've been like, yeah, it's good. Like, I think it's really cool and it can do clever stuff, but I did not realize how clever it was until yesterday. As I said at the start of this video, I was very hesitant as to whether I should do this or not, because I was like, Notion, like I don't use these productivity app things. I'm 100% not ditching my bullet journal. Like my weekly planning will stay in the bullet journal, but I do really think Notion can benefit your life. Like yesterday, I realized this, as I said. So yeah, at this point, I am fully confident in saying that link in the description box, if you haven't tried Notion, I do recommend just like trying it and giving it a go. And trust me, if you work out how to use it and you get onto the linked databases as well, you will have a good time. Like it is
Okay, so I wanted to keep organizing everything on Notion and basically transfer everything I was currently storing on my notes. It was just so disorganized, and so I basically made separate pages in Notion, and oh my gosh, the level of organization that we reached. Oh, I was just so proud. I can now say that my notes on my phone and my MacBook are just so organized, and basically everything is now stored in Notion. Just looking at my homepage now, what I've ended up with, I just feel so motivated and I really love it. I won't show you all of my pages that I have currently in my Notion, and I will obviously keep expanding and updating it. But this, for example, is a page I dedicated to travel, and then this table in my homepage related to reading is linked to a database on my reading page. So everything's integrated, as I said, and yeah, it's so good. So we have come to the end of this
challenge this week of using Notion. It feels like deja vu, like we've literally come full circle. I am by no means a Notion expert. I am very much still a beginner. But yeah, my Notion is obviously gonna evolve and change. It's not something I'm going to be using every day, I don't think, but I really like it because it definitely is an online space where I can literally organize, track, plan, do so many things, and I just think it's really great. But yeah, I thought I would just leave you with my 5 top tips, or just 5 pieces of advice if you're a beginner, if you're trying Notion for the first time. Okay, so tip number 1, I would say definitely spend some time at the start watching Notion's YouTube videos and just familiarizing yourself with all of the tools and the buttons and things you can do on Notion, because it's important to know like what you can do with a table or a board on Notion, how you get a heading and how you make the heading a certain color and stuff like this. Just take the time to learn the basic skills. Okay, the second tip, I had to dedicate a whole tip to this one, linked databases. Definitely learn how to use those and just learn about linked databases. That was the game changer for me, literally, when I realized what you could do with like filters and tags and linked databases. I really felt as if, you know, Notion was giving something back to me. Like I was really getting something out of using this app, because you can obviously use Notion on like a Mac or a computer, and it also has an app on your phone. Tip number 3 is something simple. It's something I also realized on like day 4 of using Notion of this week. Make the most of your space, your pages, by just clicking that one button to get it full width. Unless you want a narrow page, that's fine, but I wanted like a full width page. Tip number 4 is to do some research online and get inspiration from other people that have used Notion. Okay, and tip number 5, my last tip, is to basically not expect to learn how to use Notion and have everything all organized and in place in one day, in like 24 hours, because it's not going to happen unless you dedicate a whole day and you just work on Notion, or you're really good with tech and digital stuff like this, which I'm not. Just don't put that pressure on yourself. Just gradually learn how to use it. So yeah, basically that is my Notion story, my intro to Notion journey story video for you guys. I really hope you've enjoyed it and you've learned something from it, and maybe you've been inspired to try Notion. As I said at the start, thank you so much to Notion for sponsoring this video and for letting me do this, because yeah, I just wanted to show you guys me trying to use Notion from scratch. So yeah, like this video if you enjoyed it. Definitely like this video if you would like to see more of my Notion and how I'm going to be integrating it into my life. I am definitely going to be using it for revision because I have exams in January. I am going to say goodbye. If you are new and you want to subscribe, click that button and click the bell to stay notified, and I will speak to you all very soon in another video. Bye!